I can't tell you how much I sympathize with the way everybody has had to endure this unbelievably testing and challenging time.
King Charles has always been pretty careful about how the public sees him. But his recent clash with his youngest grandson, Prince Archie, has taken everyone by surprise. What started as a private family matter has now turned into a full-blown public scandal. So, what exactly did the king say? And why has it caused such a stir? Let's break down what really happened between King Charles and Prince Archie, the royal title drama that's left the monarchy shaken. When Archie was born, it should have been a joyful moment for the royals. As the son of Prince Harry and the grandson of King Charles, he was part of one of the most well-known royal families in the world. But even from the beginning, people were unsure about what role Archie would play in the monarchy. Unlike many of his royal cousins, he didn't receive the title of prince at birth, and that small detail set off a much bigger storm behind the scenes. Now, not giving Archie a title might sound like a boring technical thing, but it actually meant a lot more. It highlighted deeper issues and divisions within the royal family. Conversations about Archie's royal status had been going on in private for years, quietly creating tension between Harry and his father, King Charles. While Buckingham Palace kept things neutral in their public statements, behind the scenes, rumors of frustration and disagreements were spreading fast. Harry, who's had his fair share of struggles as a royal, wanted to make sure his son's future was protected and clear. But getting that security wasn't easy. There were rules, red tape, and a sense that the system wasn't being applied fairly. Things eventually came to a head when Harry had a private talk with his dad. But that talk quickly turned into a heated argument. It was emotional, intense, and left both of them upset. While the exact details stayed mostly under wraps, insiders say the argument wasn't just about a title, it was about bigger issues like tradition, fairness, and what it means to be part of the royal family today. At the heart of it, this was more than a disagreement over royal labels. It was a clash between old traditions and modern expectations. Should the monarchy stick to centuries-old rules, or start adapting to the world we live in now? That's the real question. And as you can imagine, the fallout from that argument didn't just affect Harry and Charles. It sent shockwaves through the entire royal family. Decisions were made, relationships were tested, and people started questioning whether the monarchy was still in step with the times. Even though Archie was just a baby and had no idea what was going on, he somehow became a symbol of change. His situation made the royals face tough questions about how they do things, and whether their customs still make sense today. The full story of what really went down inside the palace is a lot more complicated than what most headlines suggest. But one thing's clear: the impact of that moment will shape the royal family's future for years to come. Archie was born on May 6, 2019, and many expected the usual royal celebrations to follow. After all, he was the first child of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, a big deal for the royal family. As seventh in line to the throne, Archie was part of the next generation of one of the most powerful monarchies on the planet. But unlike his cousins Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, something was clearly different. Archie didn't get the title of prince when he was born. Instead, he was introduced to the world as Master Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are pleased to announce they have named their child Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, the palace said. And that was that. But this choice immediately raised eyebrows. Usually, kids that close to the line of succession are given titles from day one. So, what happened here? At first, Buckingham Palace explained that this was because of an old rule made back in 1917 by King George V. According to that rule, only the children and grandchildren of the current monarch could officially be called prince or princess. Since Archie was Queen Elizabeth II's great-grandson, and she was still on the throne when he was born, he didn't qualify. Archie didn't meet the official criteria for a prince title, or at least, that's what we were told. It all seemed like one of those traditional royal rules, part of the complicated protocols that govern who gets what title. But the more people looked into it, the more things didn't quite add up. If the 1917 rule was the real reason, then why was it changed in 2012 for Prince William's children? Just before Prince George was born, Queen Elizabeth made a special announcement. All of William's kids, no matter their gender, would be given prince or princess titles from birth. So when George arrived in 2013, he got his title straight away. Same thing happened when Princess Charlotte was born in 2015, and again with Prince Louis in 2018. They didn't have to wait, and there was no confusion. That raised a big question. Why was Archie being treated differently? If the rule had already been bent once, why not do the same for Harry's son, who is just as closely connected to the royal line? The more people talked about it, the clearer it became that this wasn't just about sticking to some old law. It felt like there was something else going on beneath the surface. Speculation started to grow fast. Could it be that race played a part in the decision? Meghan Markle, as the first biracial woman to marry into the royal family, had already faced a storm of media attention and criticism. So naturally, people began wondering if her son had been intentionally left out of royal privileges. In interviews later on, both Meghan and Harry confirmed that there had been plenty of behind-the-scenes discussions about Archie's title. Even more shocking, Meghan revealed that there were conversations within the family about how dark Archie's skin might be before he was even born. That revelation hit hard. Archie was already making history as the first biracial child in the royal family, but now the story took a turn. What should have been a simple matter of following tradition turned into a global controversy about race, privilege, and the royal institution itself. If Archie had been treated the same way as his cousins from the start, this probably wouldn't have become such a huge issue. But the fact that he wasn't raised serious concerns and pointed to deeper problems behind the palace walls. So where did all this tension really begin? To get the full picture, we need to go back and look at the rocky relationship between Prince Harry and King Charles. Their bond, once solid, has been through years of friction, misunderstandings, and emotional strain. Things started to go downhill after Harry married Meghan and began to step back from his royal duties. What began as a slow drift turned into a full-blown rift, one that's not only damaged their father-son relationship, but has also had long-lasting effects on the royal family as a whole. One major source of conflict was Harry's decision to quit his official royal role in 2020. For King Charles, who had spent his entire life preparing to be king and upholding tradition, this felt like a huge blow. Charles saw duty and responsibility as non-negotiable. He'd devoted decades to the crown and expected the same commitment from his sons. Harry, on the other hand, wanted something different. He was desperate for more freedom, more privacy, and more control over his and his family's lives. He didn't want his wife and children constantly under the media's glare, and he didn't want to be bound by rules that no longer felt right to him. When Harry and Meghan officially announced that they were stepping back as senior royals, it was a major shock to the institution. It wasn't just a lifestyle change. It felt like a break from the royal system itself. Charles reportedly struggled to understand Harry's choice, and some insiders believed he took it personally, as if all his years of effort were being dismissed. Things only got worse when Harry started speaking openly about the pain and pressure he experienced growing up in the royal family, and how he often felt let down. But the tension didn't stop with his dad. His relationship with Prince William, once incredibly close, was also falling apart. The two brothers had always leaned on each other, especially after the tragic loss of their mom, Princess Diana. For years, they were each other's biggest support. But as they grew older, their paths began to diverge. William, who is set to be king one day, leaned into the royal way of life. He followed the rules, embraced his role, and stuck with tradition. Harry, on the other hand, felt like he didn't belong. The more he tried to find his place, the more he felt out of step with everything the monarchy represented. Things got even more complicated when Harry and Meghan decided to leave the UK. William didn't approve of his brother's decision, thinking Harry was turning his back on his royal duties. The brothers' disagreements over how Meghan was being treated and Harry's growing dissatisfaction with royal life only made matters worse. Rumors of heated arguments and heartfelt conversations that didn't fix anything surfaced, and the bond they once had began to strain. Despite being close at one point, Their relationship has faced a tough test and might take a long time to heal. The same goes for Harry's relationship with King Charles. The father-son dynamic has become a major challenge. The big question now is whether time will heal these wounds or if the rift will keep widening, causing even more trouble within the royal family for years to come. And just when things couldn't seem more tense, it all escalated further when Meghan Markle sat down for her famous Oprah Winfrey interview. Meghan's explosive revelation in 2021 took everyone by surprise. During the interview, she opened up about her experience in the royal family, but one claim stood out above the rest. Meghan said that while she was pregnant with Archie, there were talks within the palace about whether or not he should be given a royal title. Normally, Archie would have become a prince once Prince Charles took the throne, as per the usual royal tradition. However, Meghan suggested that there was an intentional attempt to change those rules and deny her son that title, even after Charles became king. This revelation caused a massive stir. Was this just a matter of royal bureaucracy and a reshuffling of titles? Or was there something more deliberate going on behind the scenes? Meghan certainly seemed to think it was the latter. She believed that this wasn't about following tradition, but rather an intentional effort to exclude her son, and by extension, her and Harry, from the royal future. The interview caused shockwaves worldwide, leading many to question the motives behind the palace's decision. Some suggested that it was a direct result of Harry and Meghan stepping back from their royal duties, deciding to live in the U.S. and raise their family outside of the royal spotlight. But was the issue of Archie's title just a consequence of them leaving the royal fold? Or was it a calculated move by the palace to sever ties with them completely? The more people thought about it, the more it seemed that there was something more personal behind the decision. Why didn't other royal children face the same restrictions as Archie? Prince William's kids had received their titles without issue, so why was Archie treated differently? Meghan's comments suggested that there was more to the story, that Archie's situation wasn't just a random decision or something out of royal tradition, but something much more intentional, something she and Harry both felt strongly about. As the debate raged on, the issue became a focal point for those questioning the future of the monarchy. Was it evolving with the times, or was it stuck in outdated customs that no longer worked in today's world? Some defended the royal family, arguing that it was all just about sticking to the rules. But others saw Meghan's experience as proof of deeper, more troubling issues within the institution. After hearing Meghan and Harry's side of the story, it was clear that the royal family was being viewed in a very different light. The interview raised more questions than it answered, sparking a global conversation about fairness, equality, and the future of the monarchy. And then there's the love story that completely shook up royal history. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle began their relationship in 2016 after being introduced by a mutual friend. From the start, their romance was fast-moving and quickly became one of the most talked-about stories in the world. In 2018, Harry and Meghan's wedding at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle was a huge moment, watched by millions worldwide. The union of the British prince and the American actress marked the beginning of a new era for the royal family, one filled with progress and inclusivity. People saw it as a sign that the monarchy was evolving and moving with the times. The couple's marriage was a symbol of breaking away from old traditions, giving hope that the royal family was adapting to a modern world. But life under the royal spotlight wasn't as dreamy as it seemed. The couple quickly faced an onslaught of media attention, with Meghan, in particular, being harshly criticized by the British tabloids. The constant media scrutiny, including stories about Meghan's past, her family issues, and rumors of royal feuds, started to take a toll. As the pressure mounted, Harry and Meghan began questioning their future in the monarchy. In January 2020, they made a surprising decision to step down as senior royals, a move that shocked the world and was dubbed Megxit by the British media. This was a groundbreaking move in royal history, since no royal of Harry's standing had ever voluntarily distanced themselves so much from the monarchy. During their transition, Harry and Meghan tried to establish their independence by launching their brand, Sussex Royal. However, Buckingham Palace put the brakes on them using the royal title, which left them feeling even more frustrated. Despite stepping back, Harry kept his title as a prince and remained fifth in line for the throne. They also held on to their titles of Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but they were no longer allowed to use His or Her Royal Highness before their names. One of the hardest blows for Harry was losing his military titles, which had been a big part of his identity. However, they continued to focus on their charitable work and personal projects. After Queen Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, Harry's father, Charles, became the king. According to royal tradition, Archie and Lilibet, Harry and Meghan's kids, should have been given the titles of prince and princess. But things didn't go smoothly. The delay in confirming their titles led to speculation that the monarchy was unsure about how to handle them. Some thought it was because of Harry and Meghan stepping away from royal duties, while others saw it as a reflection of the ongoing tension between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family. In June 2020, Harry and Meghan moved to California, hoping for a fresh start and a quieter life, especially for their son, Archie. Their daughter, Lilibet, was born in 2021, solidifying their new life in the U.S. They bought a house, pursued media projects, and worked on building their legacy outside of the royal spotlight. By 2024, it was clear that their connection to the UK was more distant than ever. Official documents from April confirmed that Harry was now primarily living in the United States, officially marking their embrace of life away from the royal family. Things took a more dramatic turn when they were asked to vacate Frogmore Cottage in early 2023. The cottage, a gift from Queen Elizabeth II, had been their official residence in the UK. But once they stepped away from royal duties, it no longer felt like their home. This raised a question. Could this be why their children were denied royal titles? The debate over Archie and Lilibet's royal status was something many had overlooked for a while. Most of the attention had been on Harry and Meghan's exit from royal life and their ongoing clashes with the monarchy. But as soon as King Charles took the throne in 2022, the issue of their children's titles became an undeniable reality. It was no longer something that could be ignored. It became a pressing matter that needed to be dealt with. In 1917, a royal decree stated that grandchildren of the current monarch, like Archie and Lilibet, should automatically receive the titles of prince and princess. This long-standing tradition was designed to ensure the continuity of the royal hierarchy in future generations. However, rumors began circulating within Buckingham Palace that King Charles might be considering a change to this rule. If the rumors were true, it would mean that Harry and Meghan's children might not be granted the royal titles typically given to them by birthright. The potential consequences of such a decision were significant. Denying Archie and Lilibet their titles wouldn't just cut them off from the royal family. It would also symbolically move their parents further away from the monarchy. Was this simply an attempt to update the institution and make it smaller? Or was it a deliberate move to create more distance between the Sussex family and royal traditions? Tensions grew between Harry and his father during a private meeting, which was notably different from the usual palace discussions about royal duties. This conversation was personal. Harry had questions about why his children were being treated differently from his brother's children. He wondered why Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis had been given their titles, but Archie and Lilibet had not. Harry questioned why the monarchy seemed to be picking and choosing who was considered part of the family. King Charles, on the other hand, argued that having a smaller royal family was essential for saving money and focusing on the direct heirs to the throne. He believed that fewer working royals were crucial for the monarchy to thrive in today's society. But Harry didn't care about practicality. He cared about what he thought was right. He felt that his children deserved to be treated fairly and not judged for their mother's or parents' choices. He wanted Archie and Lilibet to be fully embraced as part of the royal family, rather than being overlooked. The outcome of their conversation was never made public. No formal announcements were issued, and the palace remained silent. But it was clear that the relationship between Harry and his father had become even more strained. What started as a personal disagreement between family members had evolved into a larger conflict about tradition, identity, and the future of the royal family. People began to wonder whether Harry's strained relationship with the royal family had influenced the decision. After he married Meghan Markle, clear tensions had surfaced between them and the rest of the royal family. Some speculated that their decision to step back from royal duties made it easier for the monarchy to exclude them from traditions. Others believed that the royal family didn't feel the need to grant titles to Archie and Lilibet because their parents had already distanced themselves from royal responsibilities. Regardless, the decision had far-reaching effects, marking a shift in how the royal family viewed its future and the roles of its members. Prince George will always hold a significant place in history as the future king. But what about Archie and Lilibet? Will they be able to stay connected to their royal roots, or will they be remembered as the children who were denied their rightful titles? This was the beginning of a royal mystery unlike any other. The debate surrounding Archie's royal title was just the start of a much bigger mystery. His birth raised more questions than answers, leaving people wondering what was really going on behind the scenes at the palace. Unlike past royal births, which followed tradition, Archie's arrival was different and sparked curiosity and doubt. Normally, when a royal baby is born, the palace releases an official statement immediately, and the proud parents make a public appearance soon after. This was the case when Princess Diana introduced Prince William and Prince Harry to the world, as well as when Kate Middleton showed off Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. These well-rehearsed public moments allowed the world to join in celebrating the new addition to the royal family. But when Meghan Markle went into labor, things unfolded in a very different way. The palace broke with a long-standing royal tradition by not announcing Meghan's labor and the birth of Archie in the usual way. Unlike prior royal births, where photographers and press would gather outside the hospital to capture the first glimpses of the newborn, the public was only informed after Archie had already been born. This decision had never been seen before in modern royal history, leaving many to question why this birth was so different. People wondered whether this was a personal choice made by Harry and Meghan, or if something else was at play behind the scenes that the public wasn't privy to. The mystery deepened as the details of Archie's birth certificate raised eyebrows. When the official documents were released, it became clear that there were some unusual discrepancies compared to the birth certificates of other royal children. One of the most striking differences was how Prince Harry's name appeared on the document. Instead of the expected Prince Harry, he was listed as His Royal Highness Henry Charles Albert David, Duke of Sussex. It was strange to see his title absent from such an important document, as he had always been known publicly as Prince Harry. Meghan's title on the birth certificate also caught attention. She was labeled as Princess of the United Kingdom, which was unexpected since she had primarily been known as the Duchess of Sussex after marrying Harry. Although technically Meghan held the title of princess as the wife of a prince, it had never been officially used for her until this document. This significant change in her title raised further questions, adding to the mystery of what was really going on. The inconsistencies between Archie's birth certificate and those of other royal children only deepened the confusion. Some speculated that Harry and Meghan intentionally broke from royal tradition, while others believed there might have been a bigger reason behind their actions. Some people thought that the couple did this to keep their son's privacy intact and protect him from the pressures of royal life, while others wondered if the royal family was deliberately distancing them. Every small change, every break from tradition, and the lack of communication from the palace seemed to imply that Archie was being treated differently than other royal children. Many began to question whether this was a covert attempt to sever Archie's connection to his royal background. Unlike Prince William's children, who were born with royal titles from the moment they arrived, Archie did not receive the title of prince. When Archie was born, Buckingham Palace referred to a rule from 1917 that stated only the children and grandchildren of the reigning monarch could automatically be called prince or princess. At the time of Archie's birth, Queen Elizabeth II was still the monarch, so Archie technically did not meet the qualifications to be given the title of prince. Critics quickly pointed out a glaring contradiction in this interpretation. In 2012, Queen Elizabeth had made a rule that Prince William's children would receive royal titles from birth, regardless of their gender. But Archie did not receive the same treatment, leading many to question why there was such a difference. Some speculated that the rule was being followed strictly, while others felt there was a deliberate effort to separate him from the royal family. Meghan later hinted that conversations about Archie's title had taken place behind closed doors, suggesting that there was resistance to granting him this status, even after his grandfather Charles became king. In typical situations, when Charles became king, Archie would have automatically been given the title of prince. However, that did not happen, and it remains unclear whether this decision was the result of Harry and Meghan's choice to step back from royal duties or a deliberate move by the palace. Throughout the history of the British monarchy, there have been defining moments where long-standing tensions came to a head, permanently altering relationships. For Harry and Meghan, one of the most significant battles they faced was the ongoing struggle over their children's royal titles. This debate highlighted the growing divide between the couple and the rest of the royal family, marking a pivotal chapter in their journey away from the monarchy. This struggle wasn't just about titles and official positions. It delved into deeper issues of identity, belonging, and legacy. When King Charles finally granted Archie and Lilibet the titles of prince and princess, the damage had already been done. Months of uncertainty, speculation, and behind-the-scenes discussions had passed. By the time the titles were given, the delay had only intensified the division between the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and the rest of the royal family. The dispute over these titles underscored that Harry and Meghan were no longer seen as part of the monarchy's inner circle. They had become outsiders, distanced not only by physical separation, but also by conflict. For young Archie, who found himself at the heart of this royal struggle, his future seemed uncertain. While his father, Harry, grew up immersed in the royal traditions and customs of Buckingham Palace, Archie's life was unfolding in stark contrast. He was growing up in an environment far removed from the monarchy's strict rules. Though Archie carried a title that tied him to centuries of British history, the question remained: would this title truly make him a part of the royal family, or would he always be known as the son of the man who chose to walk away from royal life? The conflict over his identity was not merely about a title. It touched on matters of heritage, recognition, and belonging. The question of whether he and his sister Lilibet would be embraced as true members of the royal family or sidelined over time was a central issue. Their ties to the monarchy seemed to weaken as the years went on. For Harry and Meghan, this battle was deeply personal. It wasn't just about ensuring that their children received the titles they felt were their due. It was about principles of fairness, equality, and respect. The couple had long felt they were treated differently from other royals, and the uncertainty surrounding Archie and Lilibet's titles only reinforced that feeling. The monarchy, steeped in tradition, hierarchy, and unbending rules, saw Harry and Meghan's decision to step back as a challenge and a betrayal. Their departure, along with their interviews and criticisms of the royal institution, only widened the gap between them and the rest of the royal family. Even a prestigious title couldn't undo the damage caused by these tensions. The royal family may have reluctantly granted Archie and Lilibet their titles to quell further disagreements, but this decision couldn't erase the years of tension, accusations of unfair treatment, and the sense of being excluded that Harry and Meghan had consistently voiced. Instead, it reflected the ongoing divide between the Sussexes and the monarchy. It showed just how fractured the royal family had become, a problem that couldn't be solved merely by bestowing titles. Now, as time passes, many wonder what the future holds for Archie and Lilibet. Will they ultimately embrace their royal heritage, or will their focus remain on their American lives, far from the traditions of Buckingham Palace? Will they ever truly be accepted by the institution their father decided to leave? Or will they forever be viewed as reminders of the price paid for choosing love and freedom over duty? This chapter in royal history has undeniably shaped Archie and Lilibet's future, and it has highlighted the deep rifts within the royal family that may take years to heal. Whether time will ease these wounds or deepen them remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: the conflict over their identity, belonging, and royal status will linger in the public's memory for years to come. What do you think about these ongoing tensions? Do you believe Harry has truly accepted the titles given to his children? Share your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Before you go, don't forget to click on the video shown on your screen.